we've got a trio of speakers. Do you remember that advert? A trio. Okay, showing my age now. Bring them back. Okay, trio of speakers. Next up, we've got Broman, MD of Service Works at Global Nordic. Marc Watkins, he's a Business Development Director. Hazel Bedson, the Group Marketing Director. And they're going to talk about how converging technologies are shaping the user experience. So welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. As Simone said, we're here from Service Works Global, or SWG, as some of you may know us. We are a technology provider. We've been in the industry for around 30 years, traditionally providing CAFM solutions. But in recent years, we've expanded our offering to building lifecycle management, an IoT platform, and this has been driven by our clients here in the UK, but also in Sweden. And as a software provider, it's our job to deliver technology solutions that support our clients, but most importantly, support their people. So whether it's the people who are doing the maintenance jobs, managing the buildings, or actually occupying those buildings on a daily basis. And over the next 15 minutes or so, and we'll try to stick to time, we'll be having a discussion, hopefully showcasing how these different converging technologies that we've heard about today are helping to shape that user experience, regardless of whether you're the person who's managing, operating, or using the different buildings. I'm joined by my colleague Mats, who's joined us from Sweden to bring perspective from the Nordic market, and Marc from the UK. And one of the most common questions that we get when customers are looking to embrace some of this newer technology is, where do we start? Most of our clients have some degree of technology embedded already in the organisation, a CAFM system, a maintenance management system, maybe a room booking system. But when it comes to some of the tech we've heard about today, like IoT, sensors, maybe using BIM data in operational FM, and that's before we even get to talking about digital twins, that's where people come unstuck. Many organisations will often have data in different systems, disparate systems, often out of date, often some of it will be on paper. And it's a case of bringing that all together, and that task can often seem unsurmountable. So I'd like to start the conversation with Max, bringing your expertise from Sweden, and particularly from the perspective of the people who own and manage the buildings. Where do they start on this challenge?
Thank you, Hazel. Yes, of course, I will try to, with my experience with working with digitalization for buildings and assets for 10 years and in the Nordic region, and I will try to give you some examples where we think makes sense to start with this digitalization. And as Hazel mentioned, the industry really struggle where to start. When we meet customers, we have done it for several years in Sweden, they struggle and know and doesn't want to, should we start with the new buildings, with the new technology, or the old buildings, and they go back and forth, and the information strategy is often missed. We all know that we have to work smarter to create a better and more sustainable future. And we also know that the digitalization is the way forward. And then we have to ask a question to ourselves and see, can we make our buildings even smarter so we can help us to make data-driven decisions from predictions? A little bit what you talked about before here. We can't do our decisions ourselves. Our planning and schedule that we have done before, we have to use the data in the building, the created in the building. And the answer of this is, of course, yes. And from a property owner point of view, we need to take into account that you have both existing buildings and you have new buildings. And the fact is that only 4% of the buildings is new production when we can put in all the new technology. The 96% is existing buildings. And here we have the big elephant in the room and the answer where to start with the digitalization journey for property owning. And our experience of to make a change, when you make a change to start the digitalization journey for a property owner, you have to find a way of handling the existing buildings. And in the Nordics, we have helped real estate owners or property owners to create a digital platform for the portfolio of the existing buildings. And we have done that for digitize over 25 million square meters. And the result of a digitization project I will show you later on here will be as an as-built digital twin for a building. And when the property owner starts from this point of view, the reality is that they often have poor drawings from the beginning, if they have any drawings at all. So they start from a position where it can be that it's really challenging to make this digital twin from the beginning. And we always suggest that we can see that can help with two different methodologies that we have. One is scan to BIM, and one is plan to BIM. And plan to BIM, we can start from already floor plans and do a digitalization with 3D models on top of on this 2D drawing with an AI technology. And if you want to know more about that, you can visit us in our stand. We can show you a little bit more how that technology is used at. I will show a use case of a scan to BIM project, and there will be a sports arena that I will have some an example. And we have done this for several different buildings. There could be hospitals, it could be historical buildings, it could be housing associations, or it could be schools. And actually, municipalities in Sweden from the beginning starting to investigate and see, because the maintenance depth of everything that they have starts to say, we got to keep track on our assets and know what we have built, how many square meters we have in our portfolio. So the digitalization was driven by the municipalities in Sweden for back 10 years ago. So I will prepare with popcorn and sweets, and now we will go through a film, like a movie. So this is a cooperation we did with a municipality in Sweden that owns this sports arena. And I'll take you through the scan to BIM process. The further requirement of this was create an accurate digital twin and some communication material that they want to have in their portfolio. The first step of this is to capture the data. And to capture the data, we use a technology called laser scanning, and the laser scanning can be complemented with drones and georeferencing also. So all these data that has been created, so sends out millions of points and capture all the data and create the visibility of the existing buildings. And the result of that will be a point cloud. And the point cloud that we can use then is the baseline and foundation to create a 3D model. And you can do some high measurements in the same 3D, and it will also create a panorama, 360 panorama of the building. That also can be used then later on in the FM side. The third step is from this point cloud, you can build with the design tools. So that is a transformation of the data from a point cloud to reality to capture that. They built an as-built model, 3D model on that, and keep track on all the assets, all the rooms and the assets that can be captured there. And they create the view of the 3D model. And the step 4 of that, we make this data available in the CAFM solution. So they can have 2D drawings, 3D drawings, connected with the point clouds, colored with layouts, and so on, to help the decision makers in the day-to-day processes. And when they click in a room, for example, they can direct it into the point cloud and can see the view, how it looks like in a building to navigate in this building. And in the end of this, a project like this, when you take it through, so it's not snow, it's a visualization, it's just in white, but the walkthrough of this will take 11 weeks from this project, from the start to the end. We have done it for 11 weeks for municipality in Sweden. So there is a way forward to capture the data, transform the data, and load the data into a CAFM system in a quite easy way. So, yeah.
Oh, just to interject with that, one part that Matt's mentioned is obviously to do with schools and the option for us to digitalize facilities with schools. I think we all know the ramp crisis has impacted primarily the public sector, but also across the board. And tools like BIM doesn't just count for technology, it also counts for the processes and the people driven by what you can achieve from a BIM model. And so if we had these tools available to us to be able to interrogate the facilities that we operate to find out whether we do have a rack risk that we can identify, how we can use these tools to build things like remediation plans, but also then to demonstrate how we're complying with those as well. So really important stuff, not just obviously from a technology perspective, but what BIM can offer us, both processes and people-wise as well.
Thank you both for that. Hopefully that's illustrated from a building owner's perspective, the value of digital building data in understanding our facilities, the spaces within them, the building fabric and the assets. But bringing it down to ground level, to the people on the ground, the maintenance teams, whether that's an in-house team or an outsourced maintenance team, how does this data empower them in their day jobs? How does it make their lives better? Marc, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So I think we've all established that information is king. It's key to all business processes that we've spoken about. And when we talk about those that operate the facilities, contractors in-house or out of house, quite often we look at the technology that's been given to them to help them with their day jobs. And I say help in quite a loose term. Quite often we've seen in the past technology advances have been to streamline operations, and really it's just to affect the bottom line. How can we get the most and the cheapest way possible out of our people? But the reality is our technology focus now and in the future should be on how we can use technology to inform better business processes, how we can engage with those operating those facilities. Using mobility solutions isn't a new advancement, but it is something that we can look to deploy to help us build up more information and more meaningful data to help drive those types of decision-making processes. I think engagement with those people on their day-to-day have invaluable insights into these facilities that can't just be replaced with technology overnight. So we're looking at how BIM, how digitization, how technology can improve it, and even just having the confidence in the data that you're looking at, knowing that the asset has been maintained and this is its history, knowing that that information that you're updating will then reach all the relevant stakeholders in the ways that they need to deliver it. It's not just about that technology, it's about what they can achieve from it. And even things like the visualization tools that we can see here, you can imagine, we can visualize the spaces before we arrive there. We can work out the most meaningful way of me carrying out my maintenance. I can then also understand the really complex interactions of my different asset systems within a facility. And all of these can help drive those meaningful benefits to those operators, as well as all the stakeholders involved in these types of projects.
Thank you very much, Marc. And moving on to our next point, we've heard a lot today about AI, about IoT, but I'd really like to bring it back to the human level. Today is all about people and technology, and as people, presumably lots of us have travelled through different buildings today, a lot of us have come presumably on public transport, travelled through train stations. I would really like to understand how this can empower us all in our daily lives. And Matt, I know you've done some work with clients in Sweden on this, so if you can talk a little bit more about how AI and IoT can impact all of us day to day.
Yes, I can do that. So when we started with us, I explained how to capture, transform, and make the data available in the systems. And we called it a digital twin, and we called it an as-built digital twin. And that is, of course, really, really good to have the as-built data in the bottom. But in the meantime, when you go out in the field, you want to have how the building is used, how the assets is used. So you got to add functionality to the solution and to the work orders when you're out in the field with real-time data. So we call it more of a connected digital twin. And I will show a little bit of a movie that we have done with a customer in Sweden. And we have done a journey with them. And might be, if you have been in Sweden, you might recognize this building. It's the central station of Stockholm. And the real estate owner is Jernhusen. They are real estate owner for all the railway stations in Sweden. So this is the point cloud that we scanned before, the scan to BIM. So it's a scan to BIM from beginning. I showed just an overview of the map there. And now to navigate in this digital twin for technicians, really easy to navigate. If you're aware of Google Street View, it's the same as I told you. You just click on the arrows on the floor and you can move around in this digital twin. And we have also put out points of interests. So the BIM model have been able to, X, Y, and Z coordinates can point out all the points of interest in the building from the assets. And they can make that accessible for the availability for the technicians out in the field. You will also have the ability to measure things directly in the point cloud. Because it's so accurate of things, you can make features like just clicking on things and have done some measurements in the point cloud directly, some spaces, and just some length of what you do, some heights, or you want to measure some distance of what you can do. Directly in the point cloud you can measure. And you can save these images, of course, later on. What you also can do is to take it to the next step. Do you want to get access to the assets and the sensor data of the building, how things have been used? And these are some rotation doors that we have installed some sensors together with Jernhusen. and make the data available how the condition is on the door directly. So when we click on these points of vision, so coming from the BIM model, get access directly to the doors, and we get information of the usage overview, how long time it was since the maintenance. We get outdoor, indoor temperature. It's also correlation with the weather forecast in Sweden, because it depends on doors, how the conditions will be. You can see the energy consumption and how the usage. A lot of data that will help to make the decision and can make data-driven decision to help the technician. I will search for it in the snap search in the top there, just a seawater pump. And we'll get down in the basement of the railway station. And this is the pumps to regulate the cooling in the building. It's a seawater pump, so in the summer they use these pumps to that. And for the technicians that work with that, they want to have a view of the time series, for example, how the conditions are for the homes, and they can read out some stats directly when they are out in the field. So just access to that. And another feature could be on the conference room. We have been talking about attendance in the room and visibility, air quality, and so on. So room sensors can give an idea how rooms have been used. Aggregated, you can see how the conference room in the whole building have been used, or all rooms in the buildings. And we can turn down the energy and consumption and so. And you get directly stats for the availability in the room. So in the bottom line here, we can see how the presence has been in the room with the time for 2 weeks ahead, and what times that's most booked or not or used. And it also, if you get some ranges for a CO2 level, for example, that the range is over the height of be, it's an alert directly to the CAFM system. It's predicting, you can see that the top level, so they don't have to call in to the reception. So this is an explanation a little bit of how to use data in the day-to-day processes with the use of the point cloud from the beginning, the 3D models, and create the as-built data, and connect all the sensors into the data worker. And you can always, of course, use that in the mobile. The same thing that they showed now, you can use it in the mobile. And I will visualize another features in here. So for other users that are in the building, visitors in the central station, they can use this technology. So they're standing now outside McDonald's, and they want to eat at O'Leary's instead, and want to have a show where is O'Leary's. And they just search for O'Leary's, and they get some signs in the floor, so the direction where to go. This is also really, really easy to use, because it's the same like Google Street View, but it starts indoor. And they make the availability of the data that you have produced in the scan to BIM process, add the assets from the BIM models, and get it accessible in the point cloud. So when you double click here on the phone, you get access, of course, to the same thing. You just move forward in the building. And if you want to get down in the basement, for example, just click on -1 and you go down in the store. And you want to get back up again, just click on the 0 again, you come up. So it's really, really easy to navigate. And that is a little bit of the people and technology, the interaction between them, because the technician have to be able to use and make the right decision at the right time. Then there has to be availability of the data that they will make the decision.
Marc, I don't know if you have anything to add to that?
I was just going to add, it's about an ecosystem of different technology. So it's not just one piece, one person, or one group of people. We're talking about technology and ecosystem that impacts various stakeholders. So not just those business owners or operators or the day-to-day users of the system, it's also other vendors, other companies getting involved to get good, meaningful data-driven outcomes out of what you're looking to achieve. So I think it's important to understand that we know that sensor technology has been around for a while, that CAFM tools have been around, that three-dimensional models have been around for a while, but where we're finding this benefit of deriving meaningful data is through collaboration and through this type of ecosystem of information being exchanged and being kept up to date. I think that's really important.
Thank you very much. I hope that was useful to provide an insight into how all these different types of technologies are converging to improve the experience for all the different people who manage and use our buildings every day. We appreciate that every organisation will be at a different point in their digital journey. They all have their unique challenges and their own constraints. And it's our responsibility as a tech provider to work with our clients to deliver technology that meets the needs of their people. Not technology for the sake of technology, but technology to support people both in their day jobs and their daily lives. If you want to know any more about anything you've seen on screen here today, please either scan the QR code or have a chat with our team who are out in the networking area. But I'm sure you're all ready for some caffeine now, so I shall stop talking. Thank you very much.